So we are blessed to have Mark Haden in a moment here, who is sitting in his home, and this is coming live from Mark's home in the west side of Vancouver today. I mentioned that Trevor Miller has been an important advocate for psychedelics in Canada, and Mark Haden might be the leading advocate over these last number of years for the recognition and safe use and the forward movement of psychedelics in Canada, and by implication around the world, of course. So, excuse me, his accomplishments and activities are far too numerous to mention in a context like this. So you can check him out on our website from past presenters. He's spoken at the conference several times. And he is the founder of MAPS Canada, the Multidisciplinary Association of Psychedelic Studies. Welcome, Mark.
Hey, Mark.
Hello, Stephen. Just checking. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hello, Stephen. Yep. Can you hear me? Yes. So I'm going to share my screen. There we go. So can you wave at me if you can see that? Yes. Okay. Thank you, Stephen. So I'd like to start personally. MAPS Canada is a fascinating place to work, and it's full of interesting and fascinating life lessons. Our organization is growing, and it's not without its turbulence, but as an organization, we continue to grow and change. We're also growing across Canada. We now have a very vibrant Toronto chapter, which is important to us. That we used to say we were a national organization, but we really weren't. We were Vancouver-based, and now, quite frankly, partly through COVID and the fact we've gone online, means that people can join us across the country easily. So I appreciate MAPS Canada's growth in this process. But what you asked me to do is a quick update on MAPS Canada. So here we go. So we have completed our phase 2 clinical trial. We're in the process of legalizing MDMA-assisted psychotherapy for post-traumatic stress disorder. We've halfway completed our phase 3 clinical trial. In Vancouver, we've treated 4 of 11 with 2 to 3 teams of therapists. At the end of phase 3, we believe that Health Canada will legalize MDMA-assisted psychotherapy, and in the context of training by MAPS USA. So MAPS USA will open the door once Health Canada gives approval, and we will train, or they will train, thousands of therapists and over many, many years. And they would like to have rollout across Canada and across the United States. This isn't the only study that we're involved with. We support Adele LaFrance's work, the MDMA-assisted psychotherapy in the treatment of eating disorder study. And we believe that this will be positive and constructive. We believe we will be able to help treat eating disorders, and then it will become another tool in our toolbox is treating those folks as well. And Wagner's work we're also supporting. It's another research study that we have, which is MDMA-assisted psychotherapy in the context of cognitive processing therapy. And she's also doing it in the context of couples, which is fascinating because no researcher has ever given anybody a psychedelic who doesn't have a diagnosis. And so she is, and it's a fascinating experience that we are supporting. Other projects that we're involved with is I met a man a few years ago who told me a story that I'd never heard before. In fact, it was completely counterintuitive. And what he said is that he has schizophrenia, and he treats his schizophrenia with microdosing, either LSD or psilocybin. All of the research and most of the anecdotal evidence says nobody with schizophrenia should ever take a psychedelic because it's destabilizing. And so he told me a story that I thought was important enough to write up. So I've written it up, and it's on our website. Anybody can go read it. And it's just really interesting because that story has never been told before. So one of the things I would like to know is, does anybody else have this experience? Because right now I have an N of 1. And so what I would like to know is, are there other people out there with schizophrenia or other major health major mental health diagnoses who are using either a large dose of a psychedelic or a microdose of a psychedelic to treat either their symptoms of their condition or the symptoms of the side effects of the medication that they're on. There's been other work done on this, but it's what we've observed through other research is that people with major mental health disorders do take psychedelics, but we don't know why. And this survey that we've just launched, you can go find it on our website, is available to anybody. So go and find it if you are a psychedelic user and you would like to comment on either access issues or mental health issues, please do. And we'd love to maximize this, and please feel free to send out this survey as widely as you possibly can. Another project that I'm working on is I'm probably within the next 10 days going to press the publish button, and you'll be able to go into Amazon and purchase really cheaply on either Kindle or in paperback this manual. So this is the manual for Psychedelic Guides. And I observed the importance of writing this for two reasons. One is nobody's ever done it before. By that, I mean, there's a lot of people who do underground therapy, and they tell a lot of stories, but they don't say what they did exactly. They don't say how you set people up, who they screen for, who they screen out, what you do when things go wrong, and sometimes things do go wrong. So I believe that raising the bar in the underground is helpful, and sharing. I'm a kind of a believer in just sharing. I share all of my PowerPoints I've ever done. Anybody can take them and do anything with them. I'm not protective. I'm not protective with PowerPoints, and I'm not protective with information. And so I believe that the knowledge of how you do psychedelic psychotherapy and psychedelic guiding should be available. So I've written this manual, and it's going to be available, and all of the funds that are generated from that will go into supporting supporting MAPS Canada. So that's going to be available hopefully within the next 10 days or so. Another thing that I'm working with, which is fascinating, I got a dream come true email. And it was from the minister or the Ministry of Health provincially, asking me if I would participate in a process with them, coming up with an understanding of how psychedelic medicine can be integrated in the healthcare system. Oh my gosh, I do not believe how happy I was to get that email. And so we're having a discussion. We're having a discussion about how does that work? You know, how do we integrate this into the health authorities? You know, do we put it in addiction services, which is kind of my own background? Do we put it into residential facilities? How do we do it? You know, do we talk about microdosing or large dosaging? Now, I'm aware that there are challenges because really we're offering something completely different. You know, psychedelics are not normal medicine. It's not a pill that you take home. It's something that is done within the context of a very specific model. Now, I'm aware that if you want to persuade a ministry to go into the world of psychedelics, you need to talk about money. So I've developed this slide, and it compares traditional psychoanalysis, medication management of mental health disorders, the MDMA treatment protocol that we have. We know exactly how many hours and what we are doing, so we can explicitly explore how much it costs. But it's two therapists. And then another one of those bars is what happens if it's the same model but with one therapist, and what would happen if we did it in groups. And so what I'm observing is that we can do psychedelic psychotherapy cheaper than the treatment of other modes of treatment for mental health disorders. Rick Doblin of MAPS USA wants to go really big. He's talking about training 200,000 therapists, which is absolutely amazing. So we are going to do it. We're going to do it big. As you asked me to speak for 10 minutes, Stephen, that's 10 minutes. Here's the model that we're going to go with. We're going to have psychedelic psychotherapy. It's going to be both in urban and in rural settings. Thank you, Stephen.
Well, thank you, Mark. Wonderful.
Thank you, Mark.
The work you're doing, Mark, just incredible. And I want people to know, anyone who knows Mark knows this, he's also one of the kindest and most encouraging people I've ever met. So thanks again, Mark. Wonderful work.